Hey folks, Wes here. Going to respond to Mr. Mrhoffame's latest thread video about record collecting. Came up with some really awesome questions this time. Really excited to answer this one. They're sort of, they don't require a lot of thought, but they're very interesting, intriguing questions, so I'm really ready to get into it. The first thing is one negative thing about my collection. I would say that probably the most negative thing about my collection is that there's still a lot of it that I haven't listened to. It's my record collecting sort of goes in spurts. I'll go, and I went years and years and years without buying anything, and I really wasn't listening to anything either. It just sort of sat here, and then I just sort of started. I found a new turntable, and I started getting into vinyl again, and started adding more to my collection. And now I've been buying tons and tons and tons recently, and so it's like I buy it faster than I can listen to it. So it's kind of, I'm going through this project now where I'm going through and cleaning everything and adding it to a database and digitizing it and organizing it all. So it's like a really slow, tedious process, and it's taking me a while to get through, and I'm buying a lot. So it seems like it just keeps growing faster than I can work my way through it and listen to it all. But yeah, that's definitely a negative thing about my collection, is just that there's a lot of it I haven't even heard yet, and I just hope I can find the time to listen to, enjoy it all at some point. Maybe I'll slow down on the buying at some point and just try to work my way through listening some more and get caught up. But second question is about picture discs, love or hate. On one hand, I love them because I love, part of the thing about vinyl that intrigues me is I love the large form art that you get with the album, and I really appreciate being able to see the artwork and read liner notes and stuff like that. It's sort of why I'm getting back into vinyl now, is that CDs are dying, and that was like the last form of where you actually would get some artwork. Now it's just, you go to iTunes and download it, and you don't get any artwork or liner notes or anything. That's just not an album to me. That's not an experience that I'm really excited about. I like to get liner notes and artwork and the album as a whole, not just the music, but the music, the artwork, the liner notes, all of that together as one thing. So that's one thing I do like about picture discs, is it adds to the artwork and makes it more unique. But on the other hand, they don't sound as good. You can drop the needle down into a quiet section of the record, and there's this background noise you hear that's not on a normal plain piece of vinyl, and just not as good of a quality. So that's a drawback of a picture disc. It's something I wouldn't seek out a picture disc, and if something was only offered on picture disc, I wouldn't shy away from it. But so I do enjoy the artwork part of it, but I don't enjoy the sound quality of them. Unfortunately, somebody figured out a way to make a picture disc that sounded good, and maybe they have. I mean, some of those Iron Maiden picture discs, supposedly see people say they sound really good. I'm not really interested in Iron Maiden at all, so I'm not going to try that out. But I guess that's all I have to say about those. Okay, question number 3, part A. One genre from one decade to fall off the face of the earth. And I will say, I did go through and write down my answers to these questions before I started watching other people's videos, as I didn't want to be influenced by what other people had to say. So I did answer these before I saw anybody else's videos. But the one thing I'd like to see fall off the face of the earth is probably 70s disco. I do understand sort of where disco came from, and then the music now that is here because of disco. So it's hard to get rid of any kind of genre of music, because everything is sort of tied together, and you lose one thing and you cut off a lot more things. But that's my best answer to that question. It's hard to cut that out even, but that's my answer. And question 3, part B: one genre from one decade that you could never let go, and it's gonna have to be the genre in the decade that first got me interested in music was 80s hip hop. You know, my first hip hop album was Run DMC's Raising Hell in '86, and that was sort of when it just blew my mind when I listened to it. You know, I was 9 years old at the time, and just to hear the lyrics of the things they were saying, and it was just pretty amazing. And hip hop through all the '80s was great. You know, it took on a lot of different forms from the beginning of the '80s through to the end of the '80s. And, you know, went through a lot of different phases, and it sort of found its way. And yeah, definitely could never get rid of the '80s hip hop. Okay, question number 4: 1 to 3 people who epitomize rock star. And I'll preface this with saying, to me, rock star is not necessarily a good musician. Even it's sort of a person that goes beyond music, goes beyond even being human, to a point where you're not even sure if they're really human. But with that being said, I would say Bono. I would classify Bono as a rock star. David Bowie is definitely a rock star. And even I would even consider Madonna to be a rock star. I mean, just people who can sort of transcend their music, people who reinvent themselves, people who are talented in more than just music, but they just happen to do music as well. They may not be, like I said, they may not be a great musician. There's amazing musicians who I wouldn't call rock stars. So those are 3 people I'd say are rock stars. And okay, 3 artists to bring back to life. This is kind of funny. It was, like I said, I wrote these down before I saw anybody else's videos, and several of these have been said before. The first one being Buddy Holly, of course. We all know was taken away from us way too early. They get a lot more to contribute to rock music, and definitely was a sad situation. And the second one, along the same lines, is Hendrix. You know, his career was very short, only a few years, and he didn't really get a chance to explore and grow his music any, really. I mean, beyond those few years. You know, we have sort of this one version of Hendrix that we all know, but we don't know what else he could have done in the future. So it would have been really amazing to see what other kind of things he would have done years and years down the road. It would have been quite interesting, I think. And the third one here I might shock some people with, but I'm going to say Tupac. He's another one along the same lines as he had a pretty short career. I think he was very misunderstood. You know, people seem to want to put him in the pigeonhole of just being a gangster rapper, and he did do those type of things, but there was a lot more to him than just the gangster rap. Very extremely talented individual. Just he's a great actor. He did a lot of things. His career was very short. He had his problems, and I think if he could have been with us for a little while longer, he could have done some really great things, and sort of gotten out of that pigeonhole he's been put into of just a gangster rapper who got shot. I think he could have done some interesting things in the world of music and for the arts in general. So I guess that's all I had to say about this thread. Like I said, it's been really an interesting thread. I'm I really enjoy these questions a lot. Really intriguing questions. You know, they're simple to answer, but they're deep still. So I appreciate it. Thanks, Mr. Hall of Fame, and thank you for watching. If you want to, go ahead and subscribe. Leave me a comment down below if you agree or disagree with anything I've said, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.